Greetings, beautiful people. Welcome back to FindXYZ, where we think, find, and shine. If you are new to this channel, kindly subscribe, leave a comment, share this video to all your friends. Let's take a look at this example. So we have 3 on x plus 1 plus 3 on x. Let's combine these two fractions. X plus 1 divides x plus 1 will give us 1. Then we have x, so we do 3 times x, that will give us 3x. Then x divide x, that is leave us with 1. So we have 3 multiplying x plus 1. Now let's simplify the numerator by expanding. So we have 3 plus 3 times x will give us 3x. 3 times 1 will give us 3. Then we have x plus 1 multiplying x. So 3x plus 3x will give us 6x plus 3 all over x plus 1x. So we have successfully combined two different fractions into just one single fraction. The question I want to ask is there any way we can reverse the process to get back what we started with? Yes. So that brings us to the topic we have for the day, which is partial fractions. So partial fractions is a way we can decompose a fraction into sum or difference of simpler fractions. So realize that we started with simpler fractions and we combine them to form a single fraction. Now when we want to reverse the process of getting the simpler part, we call it partial fractions. 6x plus 3 all over x plus 1 and then x. I want to revert back to this. So this is what we call partial fractions. Now mind you, these two fractions are the same as this fraction. They are identical. Why is this useful? Sometimes you see when you have a food and the food is so bulky, you need to break the food down. The same way when you are working with fractions and the fraction is so huge, it will be very easy for you to break the fractions down into simpler parts so that it will be very easy to work with such fractions. One thing that you have to take note is that we have types of fractions. So we have proper fractions. A proper fraction is a fraction where the degree of the numerator is less than the degree of the denominator. Less. It cannot be equal. It has to be less. It means that at any point in time, the degree of the denominator is bigger than the degree of the numerator. Now let's take an example. So given 2x plus 1 all over 3x squared plus 2. Looking at this fraction, what is the degree of the numerator? This is 1. And what is the degree of the highest power? That is power 2. So we can clearly see that 1 is less than 2. Hence, the fraction is proper. Another example. So you always look at the highest degree. Okay. So you don't look at the arrangement, just look at the highest degree. So another example, if you have 3x squared plus 1 minus 4x all over 1 minus 3x minus 3x to the power 5. So for the proper fraction, let's look at the numerator. What is the highest degree? You realize that 4x has a power of 1. Then you have x with a power of 2. So we look for the highest power. So the highest power is 2. So we say this is 2. Then we look at the denominator. What is the highest power there? 3x is to the power of 1 and 3x is to the power of 5. So we pick the highest power. So we can see that 2 is less than 5. Hence, this fraction is a proper fraction. For proper fraction, you look at the highest degree of the numerator and then the highest degree of the denominator. Okay, so when the highest degree of the numerator is less than the highest degree of the denominator, then you can confidently say that the fraction is a proper fraction. Why is this useful? Now, this is very useful because when you want to decompose a fraction into single units or into simpler units or into simpler parts, you can only decompose when it is a proper fraction. Now let's look at improper fraction. Now with improper fraction, we say that the degree of the numerator is greater or equal to the degree of the denominator. So for example, if you have x plus 1 over x plus 2, what is the highest degree of the numerator? That is 1. What is the highest degree of the denominator? That is 1. You can see 1 is equal to 1. Once is equal to or greater, this is an improper fraction. Another example, 2x to the power 3 plus x all over 5x to the power 2 plus 1. What is the highest degree of the numerator? We have 3. And what is the highest degree of the denominator? We have 2. You can clearly see 3 is greater than 2. Hence, this fraction is an improper fraction. Why is this useful? Now, whenever you are decomposing a fraction and it is improper, it is always advisable to divide first before you decompose. Whenever you want to decompose a fraction, always check the degree of the numerator and the denominator. Now when the degree of the numerator is less, you can decompose. When the degree of the numerator is equal or greater, then you have to divide. You have to divide the fractions before you can decompose. That will be all for the introduction, where we discuss the essence of partial fractions, the types of fractions that we have proper and improper. With proper fractions, the degree of the numerator is less than the degree of the denominator, and with improper fractions, the degree of the numerator is greater or equal to the degree of the denominator. Thank you for joining me, and see you in the next episode where we discuss the first type of partial fractions. I'm out.